Look how beautiful and delicate these wild crabapple blossoms are. I picked these along the river. It's a mixture of white, pink, and almost a hot pink here. So let's see how I can capture some of these beautiful details. I'm going to start off actually with some of this permanent rose, because I think looking at the blossom very carefully, it's the closed blossoms anyway up here, it's much closer to this permanent rose. What I want to do is create this sweep of this lovely branch here. So I'm going to start by just dropping in a bit of pink up here. I'm just trying to fill up the space up here and plotting in some of what's happening with the blossom and the buds. It doesn't have to be an amazing version of it, just so that I know composition wise how to add the rest of the elements, like the leaves and the stalk, which is actually really, really dark. Now this particular blossom that I'm doing now is actually much paler, so I'm going to add a bit more water to this this area here, and the buds here are also a little bit paler, so I need to add a lot more water to that, and then potentially add more pigment later, because we've got a mixture of open blossoms and buds. It's just something that I'm going to be super mindful of. Now here the petals are much paler, very, very pale, literally white, so I'm super duper mindful of, but there is greenery around there. I might be able to do some sort of negative painting. I'm not sure at this stage. And this particular set of buds are right. If you look at this one, I mean, that's literally white compared to that one over there. So it's all these different elements that I'm going to try and capture. One thing that I'm going to mention, if you've not watched me work before, is because I know I'm going to be adding ink line using a dip pen, I don't have to add all the details. I'm just trying to get the shapes down more than anything, and I'll be able to add extra details using the dip pen when I come to it. Now we're getting to the part where I have to add the leaves. As you can see, some of the blossom comes in front of the leaves and some of it is behind. And I really don't know how I'm going to approach this just at this moment. It's not until I do it that I'll be able to understand really the dynamics that's going on. So let's give it a go. I cannot include every leaf. I need to pick out the ones that serve the most information, tells the story of how this curves round. I'm really just after the story. I know I keep using that word, but it's just to give the viewer an impression what was occurring without having to give every single detail, because I don't really have time for that and it's not how I work. Now I've got to insert the twiggy parts, and it's actually a very deep sort of purpley brown. So let's mix up something like that. Bit of maroon and the purple, and I think a Payne's grey. Oh, no. And as I said previously, this particular twig just bends round very gracefully in and out of the leaves and the blossoms. So this branch weaves in and out, and in some stages it looks a bit more green. Let's just carry on with it. Now I want to add the ink. I'm using a crimson because, well, the buds are bright pink, and I'll be using my favourite browser blue pumpkin nib. If you've been watching the others in my series, or you know of my Skillshare class, Organic Expressive Florals, you know that I only pick out certain parts of the florals. That's my preferred method, because I think we are all capable, or our brains are capable, of making out certain characteristics and putting two and two together, so that we understand that even though, you know, that there might be a petal missing or something, that there probably is a whole petal there. Part of that comes down to trust. Part of it, I think, is just practice and intuition. As I'm doing these petals, I'm realising that I might actually have to use a different coloured ink to incorporate the stems, the teeny weeny stalks that come from underneath the blossoms and attach to the branch there. I don't know whether to make it green, which would be obvious, or if I should go with a brown, but I'm going to come to that. What I've decided to do is to add the stamens, so these little bits, using some of the burnt sienna ink, but add the stalks using the Daler-Rowney sap green acrylic ink. So there's actually 3 different coloured inks now, but now I'm going to be using some of that sap green ink just to add some stalks, teeny weeny stalks coming off the apple blossom, like so. Just underneath it you can see how they all join together to kind of a central stem and then merge together with a bunch of leaves. So that's what I'm trying to recreate. I'm hoping anyway. It seems that where these little stems meet there are lots of leaves, so I'm going to have to include them, I think, by just drawing them in like that. And the beauty of adding the ink line is you've got a chance to try again. And I think it would have been too crowded if I had tried to add loads of green leaves in this particular section. As I mentioned before, there is this huge area that I've left unpainted and I really want to fill it up. So I think what I'm going to do is use that burnt sienna ink and just fill it with line, ink line, using this sample here, because I think if it was completely filled up it would just be too heavy. So that's my theory. I'm hoping it's going to be a nice balance. I want to say something here about surrendering the need for results. It goes hand in hand with being fearless. You can't be fearless if you're always painting for results. And when we're process orientated and not results orientated, we'll be able to let go of the need for amazing results every time. I think the most effective results will come from the process of painting, experimenting, and learning from whatever results. It will all be positive. The act of learning will help you grow as an artist. The experimentation helps you to take risks. You start asking yourself, what happens if I do this? What happens if I change that colour? What happens if I add more pigment? I don't think about it too much. I just do it and move forward. And it's through this meaningful, playful practice that we will start embracing our intuition and start trusting ourselves